Witch Hat Atelier is one of the most anticipated anime that is currently airing this spring. I personally got into it because I saw it getting a lot of comparisons to Frieren, which is my all-time favorite anime. And now that I've been watching Witch Hat Atelier over the past several weeks, I understand why it was so anticipated. The fantasy genre is so bloated, especially with how much isekai slop gets pumped out every year. Like seriously, who was watching That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Vending Machine, or Backstabbed in a Backwater Dungeon, My Trusted Companions Tried to Kill Me, but thanks to However, Witch Hat Atelier is absolutely a fresh breath of air when it comes to how it creates a story in a fantasy world. As mentioned before, I saw a lot of comparisons to Frieren for Witch Hat Atelier, and while I understand the comparisons, I think they are extremely different series, especially when it comes to the fantasy genre. I made a video not too long ago talking about how Frieren uses the fantasy element to enhance the main plot because in theory, the plot of Frieren could be portrayed in any genre. But when it comes to Witch Hat Atelier, it's basically the complete opposite. The entire storyline is driven by the fantasy aspects. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the comparisons between Witch Hat Atelier and Frieren, and also let me know what you like or dislike about both series. The thing I love about Witch Hat Atelier is how unique its magic system is. There's no mana, magic is usable by anyone and everyone simply through drawing. However, the way to use magic is hidden from the general public and has pretty strict rules that limit how it's used. And because of the way magic is restricted, along with the fact there is magic that is deemed forbidden magic, it feels like the story has a huge moral dilemma when it comes to what is or isn't okay when it comes to using magic. All we are told so far in the anime is the Brimmed Caps are the bad people and the rest of the witches are the good people. But it feels like there's a much deeper meaning behind all of that. Because of how restricted the rules for magic are, I have to feel like some of, or even maybe a majority of the Brimmed Caps aren't even bad people. Now, not to say Witch Hat Atelier is similar, but this moral issue it has going on reminds me a lot of Attack on Titan. It makes you ask yourself, who's the real villain, or is there none at all? I can't wait to learn more about the story. I'm really interested to see what kind of direction it takes. Going back to the topic of the video, I love the way Witch Hat Atelier utilizes fantasy as a genre. Fantasy is such a vast genre. Series like Naruto, One Piece, Chainsaw Man, and Demon Slayer would all be considered fantasy. However, I feel like when people think of fantasy, they think of the kind of fantasy that's portrayed in Frieren. And what I love about Witch Hat Atelier is it kind of falls somewhere in between a traditional fantasy setting and an urban fantasy setting, but still leaning a lot closer to the more traditional fantasy setting. It really utilizes the fact that fantasy can be whatever you want it to be, and I think that's the absolute best thing for a fantasy story. Now moving on to something I really want to talk about is the events of episode 8, because I started writing the script for this video before episode 8, but I just watched it and it was definitely the best episode yet in my opinion, and really has me questioning a lot of things. Something we learned this episode was that while everyone is technically capable of using magic, it's not necessarily accessible to everyone due to conditions like silverwash. It added a completely new layer of depth for me, because before that, I literally never considered that there's people who know of and work with magic but cannot use it. Also, another thing that I really love about the magic in Witch Hat Atelier is how much there is that we still don't know about it. We view magic through the same lens Coco does. There's not much we know about magic that Coco doesn't. Like the doorknob thing they showed us in episode 8, that's normal to everyone in the world of magic, but we knew absolutely nothing about it. It keeps me wondering what else is there that we haven't seen yet. And speaking of things that keep me wondering, what is the objective of the Brimmed Caps? And also, are the Brimmed Caps a group of people that collectively work together, or are they simply just people who use magic outside of the rules that are set for the witches? And also, what are Qifrey's motives or objectives? We have seen on multiple occasions that he seems to be looking for something, but we don't know what it is just yet. All we know is that it involves the Brimmed Caps. And he's clearly willing to go to pretty extreme lengths to make sure he can do whatever it is he's trying to do. It's also pretty clear that there's a bit of animosity between Qifrey and the Knights Morales. I also don't particularly like the Knights Morales so far. I get that they are trying to enforce the rules, but it feels like they're hiding something. And how exactly do they decide what to deem forbidden magic? Like, why is there no form of healing magic? Or should I say, why is there no form of healing magic that they're allowed to use? There's so much that I want to know and learn about in the world of Witch Hat Atelier. That's pretty much everything I wanted to say when it comes to the plot and fantasy aspects of Witch Hat Atelier, but I did also want to talk a bit about some of the characters like Agot, for example. I do understand her character and why she acts the way she does, but she is way too grumpy for me to outright say I like her. As for the rest of the characters though, I really find myself loving them. Coco, Tetia, and Riche are all really adorable. They are all so different from Agat, and I think that's why I tend to like them more. As for Qifrey and Olrugio, I like them a lot as well, and I'd love to learn more about their backgrounds and how they ended up where they currently are. Again, as I already mentioned, there's just so much I want to explore about Witch Hat Atelier as a whole, and I feel as though I'm enjoying it more and more as each new episode airs. The last thing I wanted to mention was just how beautiful the anime looks. You can tell just how much effort the studio put into making this anime look as beautiful as the source material. Now, I can't really speak on how good the adaptation is since I'm an anime-only viewer for this series, however, based on what I've seen, I have to imagine they are doing it justice. I think it might just be my favorite anime in terms of how it looks visually. I mean, it's done so well, I feel like you could watch the episode with no sound or subtitles and still find it interesting. Anyways, that wraps up everything I wanted to discuss about Witch Hat Atelier, so let me know in the comments how you are feeling about the anime so far. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this in the future. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.